Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier. Almarai Company, in collaboration with Competitive Manpower, is urgently hiring for the following exciting roles: Grade 1 mechanics, panel beaters, refrigeration technicians, lead mechanics, diesel plant mechanics, welders and stainless steel welders. Why apply? This is a free recruitment with no application or placement fees required. Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
Welcome to Competitive Training Institute, empowering you with in-demand skills. At Competitive Training Institute, we equip you with practical, job-ready skills that open doors both locally and internationally. Whether you're aiming to become a qualified caregiver, certified plumber, skilled automotive mechanic, or want to learn a foreign language like French, Arabic, or German, and many more, we've got the right course for you. Our hands-on training, guided by experienced instructors and aligned with market demands, ensures you're ready to compete and succeed in today's job market. We don't just train, we help you get hired. Our job placement team supports you in finding meaningful work after graduation. We are proudly accredited by NITA, ensuring high standards in all we offer. Ready to begin? Call us on 020-200-192. or 0721-223081 or email us at competitivetraining@gmail.com. Your journey starts here. Let's build your future together.
What is happening? Hello and good morning to you. Welcome to CBS Breakfast Show. My name is WANGUTUSI.
My name is DANFLOW, LINDWE.
And we have an interesting show lined up for you this morning. We are starting you off with the key headlines of the newspapers we are holding here. First is the Daily Nation, where the headline reads, 5 billion a day debt, stress for Ruto, and it highlights the different debts by the different presidents.
And in Kenya's bold newspaper, that is the Standard newspaper, the headline reads, UDA's tax evasion.
Nice. So now to get into the details of what the paper says. In the 5 billion a day debt stress for Ruto, Kenya will this year pay 1.8 trillion shillings, over half of the country's budget, to its creditors, highlighting the growing burden of debt that has spiraled to 11 trillion shillings. With debt maturing, a public hostile to new taxes, and a looming International Monetary Fund (IMF) program, President William Ruto walks on economic tightrope that could define his presidency. So that story is on page 4, and the numbers here highlighted are of Mwai Kibaki, former president, and also former President Uhuru Kenyatta, where the national debt has hit 11.2 trillion for President Ruto, back from China with promises of fresh economic support, including multiple infrastructure development. The stakes are dizzying. So Mwai Kibaki left the debt at 1.9 trillion shillings, Uhuru Kenyatta left it at 8.6 trillion shillings, and William Ruto 2 years in has left it at 11 trillion shillings. So just below that is Kenya's rising star Sebastian Sawe storms to victory. Hello and welcome back. Apologies for that technical hitch. DANFLOW, would you like to read us what's on your paper?
So for the Standard newspaper, again, we are having fresh allegations being labeled against the president and the ruling party. So among the issues that continue to draw criticism of President Ruto's administration, the burden of taxes stands out. Therefore, it comes as a great surprise when a former high-ranking official from the president's party reveals that the party is involved in tax evasion, including the non-payment of the housing levy and failure to remit payee taxes. So last year, these tax issues sparked protests by Gen Z, to which the government responded with excessive brutality. Is the country being governed by two sets of rules, reminiscent of George Orwell's famous novel, where some animals are more equal than others? So the story continues on page 4, page 5, and page 6. And of course, we are seeing this is former UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala. He's the one coming out with these revelations and allegations being at the Standard. The story is being told here at the Standard newspaper from page 4 to page 6. And it isn't just about UDA tax evasion. They are calling Malala actually has a number of allegations. Other than the tax evasion allegations, he also brings out allegations of poll material, UDA poll material being smuggled into the country, as well as UDA, that is in page 6, that UDA has ghost workers on state payroll. That is former SG Malala says.
Nice. Now on the Daily Nation, as we had started highlighting for you, is that Kenya will this year pay 1.8 trillion, over half of the country's budget, to its creditors, highlighting the growing burden of debt that has spiraled to 11 trillion shillings. With debt maturing, a public hostile to new taxes, and a looming International Monetary Fund (IMF) program, President William Ruto walks on an economic tightrope that could define his presidency. So the numbers highlighted here are that former President Mwai Kibaki left the country at 1.9 trillion. That was the debt ceiling at that time. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta left it at 8.6 trillion shillings, and William Ruto 2 years into power has left it at 11 trillion shillings. Below that story is Kenya's rising star Sebastian Sawe storms to victory in London Marathon. This was yesterday on Sunday, where we had number 1 and number 3. So it will be on the back page of the Daily Nation. Kenya's Sebastian Sawe celebrates after winning the men's elite race at the London Marathon yesterday. He is flanked by Uganda's Jacob Kiplimo, who came second and third place, Kenya's Alexander Mutiso. So there was also Kipchoge, who was in this race, and he came 6th. On the sidelines of the Daily Nation, Tanzania-bound plane recalled to JKIA after suspected hazardous chemical leak. So the Kenya Airways passenger plane was 25 minutes into the flight to Dar es Salaam yesterday when it was ordered to return back to JKIA, where it was grounded for 2 hours as health authorities screened it. So that story is on page 14. Below that is the countdown to return of first contingent of Kenya police from deadly Haiti mission. So 400 police officers are expected back in June after 1 year of fighting gangs in the Caribbean nation. And lastly, schools reopen today as head teachers demand funds to avert unrest. So millions of learners return to schools this week, starting this morning actually. When you look outside, you'll see a number of students heading to school. So millions of learners return to school this week for second term, with head teachers asking the government to urgently release funds for the longest season of academic calendar, often rocked by unrest. Yes, and that's what we have for you on the Daily Nation. On the front pages, we will now get into the different stories in the paper.
Now, as we dive deeper here in the Standard newspaper, the allegations being labeled against the ruling party, that is the UDA, by the former Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala. So according to what is written here in page 4 of the Standard newspaper, a quote by Malala reads, "For the record, I am in possession of memos, official letters, minutes of meetings, payroll documents, and bank statements that fully support my position." If, remember, Malala claims that Ruto's party doesn't remit workers' income tax and housing levy. So among the unremitted dues, which Malala said had not been deducted from the salaries of UDA employees, include the income tax, that is pay as you earn, National Health Insurance Fund, and now the Social Health Authority and National Social Security NSSF remittances, which he said had never been deducted since August of 2022, when UDA first received its funding from the political parties fund. So on the front page, funds that have been given to UDA from the Exchequer in 2022, the 2022-2023 financial year, UDA received up to 345 million Kenyan shillings. In 2023-2024 financial year, UDA received half a billion, that is more than 500 million Kenyan shillings, and none of these amounts the party has not remitted its taxes as alleged by the former Secretary General Cleophas Malala, who also says he has receipts to prove all that he is alleging. Now, Kapseret MP, that is Oscar Sudi, has accused Malala of financial impropriety while serving the party. So we are hoping to see the development of that. Now, again, still on the UDA, the allegations from the former Secretary General, he says UDA poll materials smuggled into the country. So Malala says, a quote by Malala, "The president's party must understand that no individual or institution is above the law. Public trust is earned through transparency and accountability." So he has accused Malala accuses a former senior party official of single sourcing up to 90 million shillings of tablets that were used in the UDA poll. He says his concerns were brushed aside by individuals outside formal structures. And moving on to page 6, still on accusations being labeled against the party, Malala says UDA has ghost workers on state payroll, and all business transactions and invoices are done through KRA and Teams portal. So, but Malala insists UDA payroll has 197 staff, while the login sheet has less than 40 staff. So 197 workers, this is the number of workers paid by the UDA party every month, while only 40 report to work. Very heavy allegations being labeled against the ruling party and the president. We are hoping to see maybe for once he can come out to respond to any of these allegations.
Yes, indeed. Now, on matters schools reopening, as schools reopen, head teachers demand for funds to stave off unrest. So association says lack of money in the past had seen some schools keep co-curricular activities, which resulted in riots by students. Now, at a glance, what they said is that the Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba assured that he will ensure funds are transferred to schools on time. He said his ministry had been pushing for National Treasury to release the funds before schools reopen. For this, or for their part, head teachers have urged the Education Ministry to withdraw court case on e-citizen. So as we've also been highlighting, there was a requirement for all parents to pay school fees through e-citizen. However, as we highlighted during one of our morning shows, is that it is a bit difficult for some other parents in other regions of the country to pay through the system as they do not have the right equipment. So this is the different challenges that are being highlighted here. And still on matters education, the fate of 400,000 students in poorly run varsities is unclear. According to this, many institutions are facing challenges, and Education CS Migoso Gambas told the National Assembly Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education that 21 out of 43 universities are non-performing. He attributed the failure to political patronage and ethnic considerations during the appointment of vice chancellors and council members. So a few universities have actually been on the spot for this specific issue, which have been highlighted in the news over the past few months and even over the past few years. So that is what Education CS Migoso Gamba is stating on that.
And still on matters education, we are here at the Standard newspaper, a story still on back to school as learners return to school for the second term. The Standard highlights a story where parents are decrying lack of funds. Remember, the learners are returning to school at a time when parents are facing more deductions in their pay slips and financial constraints. As well, we are seeing here, being highlighted in the Standard newspaper, is principals, how school heads are putting off their phones, switching off their phones to avoid phone calls from suppliers. Remember, the government has been having trouble disbursing capitation to schools, which is hindering the normal day-to-day running activities of the institutions. And the institutions ought to have received capitation. First term, this capitation ought to have been received is 50%, second term 30%, and for the last term it is 20%. But principals now report that they are yet to receive first term's capitation, which is 50%. And now as second term begins, eyes are actually on the Ministry of Education to disburse capitation to avoid any unrest, particularly in boys' schools, where we have been hearing cases of food rationing, among other activities to reduce expenditure in schools. So eyes are definitely on the Cabinet Secretary. Soon we'll start having calls from unions about capitation and the strain that school heads are facing due to the lack of funds.
Nice. Now on matters economy, National Treasury CS has said that the country cannot avoid borrowing. This comes after President William Ruto pardon me on that. President Ruto has to delicately balance debt prepayments and providing services to the public without increasing tax burden. So this is coming after President William Ruto's state visit to China and him coming out with 14 different MOUs signed, which we highlighted during our last show on Friday. Now Ruto faces 5 billion a day debt headache. According to this story, 65.6% is Kenya's GDP debt, is Kenya's debt to GDP ratio, which is higher than recommended 40%. And still on matters international, the first contingent of 400 officers is set to return from Haiti. Officers drawn from various units of the National Police Service were deployed in June last year and are set to return June this year. So there are a few challenges regarding the equipment they were using. 2 injuries reported when it came to one officer, 2 officers actually, one in the armored car and one while on duty outside. And there was also a missing police officer. So this is coming amidst a few challenges that has been faced by the different officers, including funding challenges with the United States and a few other stakeholders not really providing the necessary funds for the running of this program. So that is the news on that, as we also await to see what the president will say regarding this. Has there been any progress in Port-au-Prince in Haiti, considering that it has been war-torn or gang raided for quite some time, and that is the current development in that area right now.
And back to the Kenya Kwanza, issues to do with the Kenya Kwanza party. Now, on page 7 of the Standard newspaper, the headline reads, "More founding parties exit Kenya Kwanza." We have been highlighting for you stories where recently the Farmers Party exited the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Now here a story is being highlighted again, Mbu's party, the latest to quit the ruling coalition. So analysts say the exit of parties could harm Ruto's re-election bid. So a quote here by former Meru governor, that is Kiraitu Murungi, he says, "I am bound by the decision of my party, and the decisions have not been made by the chairperson. They have been made after consultations." So it reads, the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition is facing a mass exodus as political parties that formed it continue to issue exit notices. So the Devolution Empowerment Party, also known as Mbu's Party, which is affiliated with the former Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi, is the latest party to exit the ruling coalition. So the Democratic Party, associated with former Public Service Cabinet Secretary, that is Justin Muturi, and the Farmers Party, affiliated with former Principal Secretary Irungu Nyakera, have also formally declared their intention to quit the Kenya Kwanza coalition. So, so according to analysts, this could actually harm Ruto's re-election bid in the coming general election, and we are hoping to see how that goes. Recently we saw Mudavadi's party, that is ANC, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, he merged his party with UDA. We saw Ford Kenya, that led by Moses Wetangula, he refused to merge his party with the ruling party. So more, we'll be keeping you updated as that story develops.
Yes, indeed. And now Matters Gachagua, yesterday during his tour in Nyandarua, Ruto launches fake projects. That is what Mr. Gachagua said. And former Deputy President claims that President Ruto launches development projects knowing full well that they'll not be implemented. So he used, and I quote, a quote by him, he used to tell me that the launching of projects was a political activity and not all political promises must be fulfilled. So according to the unfulfilled promises, Laikipia Senator John Kinyua protested unfulfilled promises by the government, including insecurity in Laikipia and human-wildlife conflict. So let the government, he quoted saying this, "Let the government stop telling us what it's doing and has done. Let them show what they have done. This is a failed regime," said the senator. So the former CS, Cecily Kariuki, complained that all water projects initiated by former President Uhuru Kenyatta have stalled. She also warned against increased taxation, quoting, "We understand that the proposed budget for this year has more taxation for Kenyans. I want to tell the president that if it's presented the way it is, then you will realize that what Gen Z did last year was just a rehearsal," said Mrs. Kariuki. So that is the story on that. We've been seeing jabs being thrown by former Deputy President Gachagua, condemning President William Ruto, and it is an ongoing occurrence. Now, moving away from matters politics is police. DPP accused of abusing powers in WhatsApp disputes. So according to this, pardon me, the story reads, the magistracy continues to fold its hands when purely civil disputes are brought before it and allow the criminal justice system to be used as a tool of harassment. So police and prosecutors are increasingly finding themselves entangled in disputes flowing from WhatsApp groups, especially on claims of defamation and libel between neighbors in estates. At the same time, the perception that a libel claim arises if the false statements are published on the social media platforms is being defeated in courts. So multiple people are facing prosecution over messages considered to be libelous posted on community WhatsApp groups, while others are dealing with financial pain caused by hefty penalties. So in case someone upsets you on a WhatsApp group and then you decide to take them to court, it's actually supposed to be a civil matter and not a criminal matter, not supposed to be taken to court, but to be handled locally. That's what this story is saying. So the judge says that most of the cases arising from social media groups are civil and not criminal in nature, simply put.
And still on matters security, the Standard highlights a story on page 10. It reads, state accused of shielding spy agency from public scrutiny. So the National Service Act establishes that intelligence service complaints it establishes the Intelligence Service Complaints Board. So the spy agency, that is the NIS, has been accused of cracking down on government critics. So amid growing concerns that Kenya's intelligence agency is overstepping its mandate, calls for the establishment of the Intelligence Service Complaints Board have become louder. So although efforts have been made to operationalize the board, there is a perception that the government is not committed to creating this oversight body that will hold the National Intelligence Service accountable. So under Section 66 of the National Service Act, the 5-member board is to be headed by an individual who qualifies to be a judge in the High Court. The remaining 4 members should include a person nominated by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, an advocate with at least 7 years of experience, a person with no less than 7 years of public service experience. So the primary function of the board will be to receive and investigate complaints against the NIS made by any individual aggrieved by actions taken by the Director General, that is Nudin Haji. So a quote here by Subach Churchill, that is Subach Churchill is the Executive Director, Kenya National Civil Society Center, and he says it is important that we have civilian oversight and the NIS should embrace the idea, as our constitution demands that all security agencies be held accountable. So we'll be keeping you updated on how that goes. Remember, this comes at a time when the NIS has been facing allegations of being part, particularly from Kenyans. They allege on social media that the NIS is part of the team that is abducting Kenyans on the streets, while at the same time we are yet to see any report from the NIS on who is behind these abductions. Are they state sanctioned? Is it a criminal gang out here, or is it officers? Of course, we've also seen allegations that it is police officers that are taking part in these. So will there be a civilian-led oversight body to oversee and keep the NIS in check, or will it not be formed? We will be keeping you updated on that.
Nice. Now, just before we continue on our other reports that we have for you this morning, still on matters police officers, there is a documentary set to be released today by the BBC relating to the June 2025 protests. But now, just before we continue, please allow us to take a moment just to sip some tea and continue right here with you in a short break. See you in a minute.
Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Almarai Company, in collaboration with Competitive Manpower, is urgently hiring for the following exciting roles: Grade 1 mechanics, panel beaters, refrigeration technicians, lead mechanics, diesel plant mechanics, welders and stainless steel welders. Why apply? This is a free recruitment with no application or placement fees required. Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
Welcome to Competitive Training Institute, empowering you with in-demand skills. At Competitive Training Institute, we equip you with practical, job-ready skills that open doors both locally and internationally. Whether you're aiming to become a qualified caregiver, certified plumber, skilled automotive mechanic, or want to learn a foreign language like French, Arabic, or German, and many more, we've got the right course for you. Our hands-on training, guided by experienced instructors and aligned with market demands, ensures you're ready to compete and succeed in today's job market. We don't just train, we help you get hired. Our job placement team supports you in finding meaningful work after graduation. We are proudly accredited by NITA, ensuring high standards in all we offer. Ready to begin? Call us on 020-200-192 or 0721 223081, or email us at competitivetraining@gmail.com. Your journey starts here. Let's build your future together.
Hello and welcome back to CBS Breakfast Show. This is the Morning Brew, and we are continuing with the different stories right here on the newspapers. So just before we get into the standard, is how inaction by MPs abets rise in cults of ignorance. So there's been different stories, and the key highlight here is Shakahola-like deaths continue to be witnessed as more religious organization indoctrinated members. So 2 members of the Malkio St. Joseph Mission have died at a church in Migori. This is a story that has been highlighted from last week on Monday, where a church in Migori with over 50 members was caught or was reported to be having cult-like tendencies. So Parliament's failure to enact a law to regulate religious organizations and protect Kenyans from cultic leaders is aiding the proliferation of extremist groups. So the activities of these predatory religion or religious organizations remains unabated, with 2 people recently dying at a Migori church. So the Religious Organizations Bill 2024, a product of the Senate's inquiry into the Shakahola massacre, sought to control proliferation of questionable organizations and have them pay taxes from earnings in the form of offerings and tithes. However, the bill, which was never published because of vested church interests, proposed a fine of 5 million or 3 years in jail or both for owners of religious groups that are not registered. So this is the current state of this. In 2024, it was highlighted in different media stations how the bill was being taken into consideration. However, politics got into the mix, and there was no progress, as this story also highlights. So that is the current feedback on that. And there was also another recent case in Kilifi just last week of more members or another suspected group of a cult church or cult religious organization. So the question here is the lesson not yet learned when it comes to Shakahola-like massacres and the deaths which continue to pull more people in the name of religious faith? So That is the story on the Daily Nation.
Very interesting. We are hoping religious institutions can be regulated in the country. And remember, religion is actually a very touchy subject. Yeah, to stand and say we are regulating these spaces might become, it might face resistance. But again, we are seeing that's being reported, and we are hoping the government can act swiftly. Now, moving on to another story, in the Standard newspaper, page 10, Ruto's allies claim Uhuru is inciting youth, blame him for gambling crisis. So recently, over the weekend, we had a comment by the former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, where he urged youth to come out and fight for their country. And now responses to his remarks and particularly from Ruto's allies, and they're telling him he is inciting youth, and they blame him for the current gambling crisis. So politicians allied to Ruto have accused Uhuru Kenyatta of inciting youth against the government. So Majority Whip, that is Sylvanus Osoro, and Kimilili MP Didmas Baraza, and the President aide, that is Farouk Kibet, said Uhuru had no moral right to champion the rights of youth. Speaking in Malava, Osoro accused Uhuru of neglecting the youth when he was president. A quote by Osoro here reads, "It is under his watch that we experienced the registration of over 200 betting farms which have plunged youth into depression." So Baraza told Uhuru to enjoy his retirement benefits peacefully and allow Ruto to run the government and serve Kenyans, while Kibet called for political tolerance and peace, urging leaders to give room for development. So a quote here by Kibet reads, "We need our leaders to conduct decent politics, devoid of violence and incitement." Yeah, very interesting story there. So Uhuru comes out to speak, and he is facing blame for things that happened in the last regime, where over 200 betting companies, he's being accused of that, letting over 200 betting farms be established and be registered during his tenure. And it actually comes at a time when there are calls for regulation of betting farms in the country amid rising cases of addiction, gambling addiction, and some even committing suicide after making losses while betting. Yeah,
Indeed, a very sad story there. And now, still on matters housing, or away from matters politics and into matters housing, family fights for 50 acres after ceding Kasarani Stadium land. So the parcel was originally 344 acres, but the government compulsorily acquired 294 acres for expansion of sports. So in 1954, Amon Matiru and his wife, Peris Wamboi Matiru, bought 344 acres in Kasarani, a legacy they secured for their 6 children. However, now here's a quote, "Why would I require clearance from the ministry to access my own land? Since when did that become a requirement for Kenyans to walk on their property?" So when Amon Matiru and his wife Peris Wamboi Matiru bought 344 acres at Kasarani in 1954, they believed they had secured a legacy for their 6 children. That vision began to crumble in 1980 when the government compulsorily acquired 294 acres of the land for expansion of the Kasarani Sports Center, leaving the family with 50 acres. Peris died in March of 2001 and her husband Mzee Matiru in August 2017. Now their children retained the remaining land, which is now at the center of bitter disputes. In early February this year, Violet Matiru, one of the couple's daughters and the land's administrator, received alarming calls that construction had begun on their land. She and her husband, Anthony Mwangi, were shocked to find the 50-acre plot fenced off and contractors working under police protection. So that's quite a story there about a land dispute, and quite a prime land actually. So just below that story is Tanzania-bound plane turns back to JKIA over chemical leak. So this was quite an interesting story, a key development that happened on Sunday afternoon into the evening, where a passenger plane headed for Dar es Salaam, Tanzania from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport yesterday was ordered back after a suspected leakage of hazardous biological materials. So Kenya Airways flight KQ484 was 25 minutes into the flight to Julius Nyerere International Airport before it was ordered back. The plane returned around on suspicion of a TB exposure in the cargo hold, resulting in passengers being stranded from 1:40 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. when authorities cleared the aircraft for takeoff. So just a quote here is that upon attending to the emergency, the flight was cleared for takeoff to Dar es Salaam at 3:45 p.m. read a statement from KQ Corporate Communication Department, and the safety and well-being of our guests and crew remain our highest priority. And they apologized for that. So that's what happened yesterday. It was a developing story. However, there were no casualties reported.
And moving forward to matters health, at the Standard, here in the Standard newspaper, an interesting story is your brain's worst enemies, 6 everyday habits that secretly age your mind. So number 1 is keeping sleep, the brain fog culprit. So skipping sleep is not healthy for your brain. Number 2, sitting too much when couch comfort backfires. Number 3, mental costing, not using your brain enough could actually be part it could actually be part of why you are aging your mind secretly. Now number 4 is doom scrolling and isolation. According to this, loneliness isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Research by World Health Organization shows that social isolation increases the risk of dementia by up to 50%. So pick up the phone, not for a scroll, but for a chat with someone you care about. Number 5 is diet disasters, feeding the brain junk. So sugary snacks, greasy fats food, and fizzy drinks may taste good, but they wreak havoc on your brain. So swap that for leafy foods, berries, some nuts, and healthy living basically. Then number 6 is chronic stress, the invisible brain drainer. So stress isn't always bad, but constant pressure can literally shrink parts of your brain. Interesting facts there about taking care of your brain.
Yes, indeed. And as we're in the morning, please take care of yourself this coming week. Don't sit too much, as it has been said. Don't take too much junk as well, and try use your mind more. Challenge it.
Yes.
Challenge it a few more times so that you keep your brain healthy, you keep your brain young.
Yeah, using your brain is actually, the brain is a muscle. So the more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
Yes, flex that muscle indeed.
Yes.
So still on matters health, a global company teams up with Kenyan facility to make precision cancer care accessible locally. So 2 organizations have brought a game-changing cancer imaging and treatment technology into the country. Patients suspected to have cancer in Kenya may no longer need to travel abroad for precision diagnosis and therapy. These are now available locally, yes. Developments that will see patients avoid spending huge amounts of travel and accommodation. So Healthcare Global, HCG, and Cancer Care Kenya have brought game-changing cancer imaging and treatment technology into the country. This was on April 25th. The 2 companies partnered, officially launching an advanced positron emission tomography, computed tomography PET-CT machine that will be used to diagnose cancer and monitor treatment. So combined with the use of tracer doses and different molecules, this imaging technique helps doctors to visualize tumors and their activities. So that is what is one of the key developments that will be happening on health, and I think it's quite a good thing. We hope that it will also be affordable and accessible to most Kenyans. Now, moving away from matters health, is that Atwoli wants social media controlled to tame Gen Z. So trade unionists says that unfettered freedom to use platforms could lead to anarchy. Central Organization of Trade Unions KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli has criticized young people, expressing their anger on social media and asked them to change their attitude towards leaders. So speaking at ACK St. Stephen's Church at Makadara during the 60th annual KOTU prayer service yesterday, Mr. Atwoli said social media could bring down the country if not regulated. This thing called social media, he's quoted saying, is controlled in China. China has regulated TikTok despite being their product, not like here in Kenya. The church must speak about TikTok. The church must speak about social media, about YouTube. The church must take the lead, Mr. Atwoli said. So there has been a few calls for regulation of social media, especially after the Gen Z protests in 2024 of June, and this is just one of those others. And the dates next from 1st of May, when Labor Day will be marked with the celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, is when we'll also be expecting some more feedback or more communication from Francis Atwoli, who this weekend hinted at dropping out or finally resigning from the seat that he has held for 24 years. Imagine that. And yes, 24 years later, we are being cautioned about regulating social media by the labor unionists. Interesting times.
Interesting times indeed. Now moving forward to business news, the NSSF's plan to pay pension dues in a day signals relief for retirees. So a story here highlighted by the Standard newspaper on page 21 reads, this will involve using the latest technology and deploying automation. So in the last 2 years, NSSF says it paid benefits to more than 200,000 retirees. So the National Social Security Fund has revealed its plan to pay claims within 24 hours, placing its bet on technology, an agile workforce, and cleaning up its records. So NSSF Chief Executive and Managing Trustee David Koros said this has already been done, citing a point in time in March when the fund paid 7 claims at its Hill branch in 24 hours. So the waiting time for one to receive their claims stood at 82 days in June 2023. This has been slashed to less than 2 weeks, the CEO said, and is quoted saying, "We are now doing an average of 9 days," said Mr. Koros during the NSSF 7th annual general meeting. So he said the target, as per the fund's strategic plan, is to have claimants paid their dues in 1 day by the 2027-2028 financial year. So we are giving ourselves, this is still David Koros, he is quoted saying, "We are giving ourselves a target of 24 hours. You launch your claim on Monday, and by Tuesday 4 p.m. the money is in your account. This is our commitment to you." So of course, this is definitely one move Kenyans, particularly retirees, will benefit from, and one they will definitely cheer. So eyes on that. 2027-2028 financial year is actually not that far, and we'll be keeping eyes on that to know whether NSSF will actually deliver on this promise to ensure that retirees get their funds on time, or will there still be delays. And still on business news, 100 million shillings, Bamburi Cement plant to ease construction. So Bamburi Cement PLC, a subsidiary of Amson's Group, has launched a 100 million shillings ready-mix concrete plant in Mombasa County aimed at meeting the growing demand for quality concrete solutions in the island and its environs. So the new facility by Bamburi Special Products located in the Bamburi area boosts a production capacity of 120 cubic meters per hour with potential volumes of more than 10,000 cubic meters of ready-mix concrete. So that is an interesting development at a time when the housing constructions the affordable housing construction is currently ongoing across different parts of the country. That will be a boost to ease the construction process. Yes,
indeed. And now, just to close up on business, KQ SafariLink signed code share agreement. Now, national carrier Kenya Airways KQ has added 9 safari tourism destinations to its global itinerary through a code share agreement with the domestic airline SafariLink Aviation to fly international passengers from New York to Masai Mara National Conservation or National Reservation. So code sharing is a deal between two or more airlines to sell seats for the same flight, which means that passengers enjoy more benefits. Now that is just to close off business, and now to just before we finish our show this morning is on sports news. So Gor Mahia stay within touching distance of league leaders. So the race to the Football Kenya Federation Premier League FKF title intensified yesterday on Sunday, with defending champions Gor Mahia returning to winning ways against Mara Sugar, while Tusker stumbled against Mathare United. At the same time, a police officer who was amongst those tasked with maintaining security at Dandora Stadium, the venue of both matches, is on the spotlight after assaulting Daily Nation photojournalist. Okay, that is quite a damning story, quite a damning event, and yeah, that is what is happening in terms of sports and football. And just to highlight something else that was a key highlight before we finish up on sports there, is that Liverpool finally won yesterday, and despite only having 4 fans in the whole country, they have taken up the championship. So that is what is happening. Arsenal is second in the league, and that is the update we have for you on that.
And finally on sports here, the backstory of the Standard newspaper, Kipruto and Chepngeno ooze class in Eldoret City. So remember, over the weekend we had the Eldoret City Marathon, and Edwin Kipruto and Viola Chepngeno cruised to phenomenal victories at this year's edition of the Eldoret City Marathon yesterday. So fresh from a 9th place at the Daegu Marathon in February, Kipruto ran a glorious race, leading in the entire second half of the men's race. So the Hamburg half marathon runner-up was a top contender by the 30-kilometer mark after making his move at the 15th kilometer point, and the time he climbed Kapsoya Hills, his confidence was top. Very interesting story there. It was we had eyes on that in the Eldoret City Marathon, and congratulations to Kipruto and Chepngeno for oozing class in the Eldoret City Marathon.
Yes, indeed. And just before we forget, it will be unfair of us to not highlight our Kenyan stars who invented running, because the top 10 results that were experienced yesterday is that Sebastian Sawi, the Kenyan, finished at 2 hours, 2 minutes and 27 seconds, followed by Jacob Kiplimo, he's Ugandan, and third was Alexander Mutiso Munyao at 2 hours, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. These are the results of the London Marathon yesterday. And just the headline here on the sports reads that I train hard to make winning easy. That is Sawi saying. So freshly minted London Marathon champion Sebastian Sawi has attributed his awe-inspiring victory in London Marathon to rigorous training and never say die attitude in races, running only his second marathon race yesterday since winning the 2024 Valencia Marathon in December. 29-year-old Sawi, who is the reigning world half marathon champion, took charge of the men's competition at the 30-kilometer mark and engaged a higher gear, which he maintained to the end. So as for those who had the privilege of watching the whole race, he kicked off a beautiful distance, which led him to his success in the London Marathon. And as we highlighted earlier, Kipchoge came in 6th. He says that he is still privileged to be racing and interacting with the younger and more energetic athletes in the game, and he's still enjoying it very, very much. So that's what we have for you this morning. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is WANGUTUSI.
My name is DANFLOW. Remember to grab yourself a copy of the dailies to delve deeper into the stories we have highlighted to you this morning.
Yes, stay safe and catch you next time. Cheers.
Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Almarai Company, in collaboration with Competitive Manpower, is urgently hiring for the following exciting roles: Grade 1 mechanics, panel beaters, refrigeration technicians, lead mechanics, diesel plant mechanics, welders and stainless steel welders. Why apply? This is a free recruitment with no application or placement fees required. Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available.
Welcome to Competitive Training Institute, empowering you with in-demand skills. At Competitive Training Institute, we equip you with practical, job-ready skills that open doors both locally and internationally. Whether you're aiming to become a qualified caregiver, certified plumber, skilled automotive mechanic, or want to learn a foreign language like French, Arabic, or German, and many more, we've got the right course for you. Our hands-on training, guided by experienced instructors and aligned with market demands, ensures you're ready to compete and succeed in today's job market. We don't just train, we help you get hired. Our job placement team supports you in finding meaningful work after graduation. We are proudly accredited by NITA, ensuring high standards in all we offer. Ready to begin? Call us on 020-200-192 or 0721-223081 or email us at competitivetraining@gmail.com. Your journey starts here. Let's build your future together.